Employer who beat unpaid migrant worker to face criminal charges. Malta's migrants protest against systemic discrimination in Valletta. Child mauled by dog in Marsa Scala Family Park. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to Lovin Daily. I'm Diacono, joined by Johnathan, Cilia. Another big day in Malta. There was a story that Lovin Malta has published, bringing a reminder from an incident happened last year. An employer who beat up a migrant worker he didn't pay is going to face criminal charges. John, what can you tell us about
That's
this?
exactly right. So this is a big and a very, very positive development from a story that Lovin Malta had broke about a year ago. If you remember, back in September 2020, a migrant worker who went by the name of Alandu John Bright had published video of him approaching his employer, asking him for the remainder of his wage, only to be assaulted on camera. So this is a story that kind of brings to the forefront kind of the abuses migrant workers were facing and not just from the recent weeks and stories we've been seeing, but that have been going on for years. So Bright had said that he worked about 11 hours per day for just €2.50 a day. That's €2.50 a day, not 250 euros, €2.50 a day. And after 21 days of work, he was given just 250 euros in hand. When he demanded the rest of his wage from his employer, a man that goes by the name of Alistair Bedzina, who runs a refuse collecting company, he was actually assaulted on camera. Now, he actually took this to the police, and 1 year on, it seems that Alistair Bedzina will be charged in court tomorrow with a raft of employment-related infringements, including failure to adequately register Bright as an employee, aside from actually, physically attacking Bright. Now, this is just one story from the seemingly hundreds, if not thousands, of cases of migrant worker abuses on the island as well as in Gozo. Now, obviously, just today, and we're going to jump into that story next, hundreds of people took to Valletta to protest ongoing abuses when it comes to migrants. It seems that many migrant workers in Malta feel like they cannot speak up when they are abused at work, that they have no protections when facing abuse by their employers. And now it might be finally getting to a head. I mean, with this protest that, Tim, you're going to tell us about a bit more, maybe people have finally had enough of this.
Yeah, in fact, that's why, I remember this is why the story of Alando really struck a nerve, right? Because it was a migrant who was not afraid to speak out as usually is the case. He was so sick of the whole situation that he got his camera out and started filming his place of work, filming his employer, and filming even as he was being attacked physically.
Wow.
And yes, this is like just one of the problems that these incidents, and even the incident with Lovin Daily last week, are just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how migrants, typically African migrants, but not only, but often, are treated in Malta. They're very much at the bottom of the food chain. They're they're expected to work for menial hours. I was really struck by a comment that Ibrahim Jaite, the uncle or the nephew of Lamin, who you interviewed last week, said that even they're not even granted stuff, basic rights like sick leave, or they can't take a day off, because then they'll just be discarded, and they say, look, you know what, you'll just get someone else if you do this. And these are basic rights. These are things that the migrants were protesting about in Valletta today. And this is something that we sometimes take for granted and don't even realize the very human impact on people. So there was a sign that at the protest today where they said a concrete jungle built by slaves.
There you go.
And that's the reality, right? So even though maybe slaves might be a bit of a dramatic term for it, they have but they do have very little rights compared to locals. Not only that, very very precarious employment conditions. Some can't even have a bank account. They're paid completely off the table. They have their permits, which have to keep renewing every year, and there's loads and loads of bureaucracy to get it. The employer sometimes will constantly keep the fact that they can be deported at any given moment as soon as they lose their job and they keep it hovering over their heads, and they expect them to be grateful for everything.
It really is insane. The thing is, many of these people work in construction industry, which is an issue in and of itself. I mean, we don't have to remind you how many people have been posting, have been speaking about the constant drilling from 7 a.m. in the morning. Their house is shaking with construction. I myself, I'm living in Attard right now with the Central Link project. So you have this issue of construction, and you have this issue of migrant worker abuse in the construction sector. So I'm not at all surprised that they described a scenario like that. When you looked at the placards today, what else were protesters calling for? They were saying things like, quote, "We pay taxes and NI national insurance." So, they're contributing, they're giving value to the nation, just so what? They have an accident at work and they're dumped in Selmoon, on a dusty side road in Selmoon.
But it's also the sad reality is that if they, first of all, they don't just say, they're not just saying we're paying taxes, right? They also want the government to issue a declaration recognizing that they pay taxes, which it seems a bit pointless, right? I mean, like, obviously you do pay taxes, but in a way, there's a lot of symbolism attached to it, because I mean, let's be honest. If like local people were treated half as badly as a lot of the migrants are, you'd have loads of politicians out in arms, out on the streets, condemning, like, this is against socialism, this is against basic human rights. But unfortunately, the fact that they're African migrants who not only don't have a vote but are also disliked by a large segment of the population means that few people with political clout and real power are going to speak up in favor of them, because it will be unpopular amongst their voter base, and it's a reality, and politicians will speak about this themselves, not publicly obviously, but privately they'll say it, like, look, our voters don't like this issue, they don't like migrants, so it's uncomfortable for me to speak about it, and this just propagates this whole culture of abuse as well.
We've got second-generation Black Maltese people in the national football team killing it, We've got restaurateurs, we've got businessmen. I cannot wait for the very first Black Maltese politician to enter.
One day.
It's going to happen sooner rather than later. Like I said, we already have second-generation Black Maltese people killing it in other areas, and hats off to them. We're going to be seeing more and more of them.
And music as well.
And music as well. So just wait until an MP is elected that comes from a Nigerian background or a Gambian background or a Ghanaian background, but speaks Maltese, has a local support base, and is elected. That's when we'll start seeing the migrant, the Black community and their voting power really start to take effect.
We already saw something about it recently, right? There was Daniel Omana, again, a second generation, and he managed to, he wasn't elected, but he managed to convince the government to change a really ridiculous law,
Absolutely.
Which we're going to be discussing, in fact, later on as well. So we are in a the fact that there are second generation people who are actually born here. Yeah, I do see potential for change in the future.
Yeah, anyone who's...
But you have to keep your voice, you have to make your voice heard.
Absolutely, and that's why we're here to help. If anyone's had any abuses at work, be it themselves, their friends, their families, or colleagues, or even flatmates, do speak to us now. Lovin Malta is shining a spotlight on this, and this is far from the end. Like we said, there's an employer going to be charged in court tomorrow over abuses that occurred over a year ago. So there is movement, and there could be justice. So do let us know in the comments below if you have any of these stories, or contact us at hello@lovinmalta.com. Moving on to the next story, a bit of a shocking story from Marsa Scala. A 6-year-old child was grievously injured after being attacked by a dog at a Marsa Scala family park. Now, this is a bit of a shocking situation. It happened at 3:45 p.m. yesterday, and this boy was attacked by the dog. Now, the boy was taken to Mater Dei Hospital for treatment, where he was certified to have grievous injuries, which means that they're, a little bit serious, even though they're not life-threatening. Now, I can't even imagine what the family must be going through, but guys, I have dogs as well. When I go out walking with them, when I go to a family park, I keep them on the leash, No matter how cute your little Fido or Rex is, you never know what's going to happen. The last thing you want is your dog attacking a 6-year-old boy, sending him to hospital. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope the dog isn't going to be put down or something from this. And, because that's what's going to happen here. If your dog gets involved in a situation like this, you're only going to open a world of hurt for you, let alone all the pain the family of the child's going through. So definitely keep your dog on the leash when out in public, especially around young kids.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really know how dogs will understand certain reactions, right? So maybe the dog might have, I don't know, I'm just imagining here, it's possible that the dog might have been being friendly with the child. The child might have been scared.
Yeah.
The dog would then have seen this as a threat. So you don't you don't know. It's possible, and
Absolutely.
and then complete tragedies like this happen, and ultimately the dog will suffer for it, as you rightly said. Because in these cases, then animal welfare comes in, and an assessment is taken.
Just avoid all of it.
Yeah.
Keep the leash on, save the boy, and save your dog.
Yes. So, a Malta-based influencer, a Nigerian influencer who's based in Malta, Charity O Fate, has published a pretty stinging video about her experience in a quarantine hotel in Cilia. So, over the summer, Charity went to Nigeria to visit her parents and to renew her passport as well. This is something that you need to do. But Nigeria was a so-called dark red list country, which meant that she had to not only quarantine upon her return in Malta, but quarantine in a hotel, even though she has a home in Malta. Now, the government changed the laws since then because of a huge outcry, but it was too late for Charity. She actually went to the hotel, and she also documented her experience in it, and she published quite a shocking video, I think. It's basically, shocking in hindsight over then. Back then it was considered normal. But she was basically telling the hotel manager and the Malta Tourism Authority straight out, like, look, we can't afford it. We can't afford to pay €1,400 for this hotel room. And they're telling her straight out, like, if you don't pay the bill, we're going to sue you in court. And the MT official literally said, not only that, you don't only have to pay the bill, but you have to pay legal fees and court expenses. So you'll pay for the money. We're even talking about the crazy stuff like freezing their assets and freezing their salaries. This is just... The irony is that she was actually in a room with a complete stranger. So in terms of COVID, have been even more safe at home. So yeah, a ridiculous, completely unscientific law that ended up getting changed. And she's not shutting up. That's what's interesting. She's actually saying, I want a refund. I paid this bill. I didn't have to pay it. So much so the government changed the law. But I paid this €1,400. I want it back. Now, unfortunately, if she does get a refund, it's Maltese taxpayers who have to pay it. Which I mean, as a Maltese taxpayer myself, I find it, a bit unjust that you have to foot the bill for someone's hotel stay. But I also completely understand it because it was an unjust law and had to be changed.
Yeah, this hotel quarantine policy may have started off with the best intentions, but it clearly ended up being a cash grab.
With the best intentions. It was never for the best intentions.
It became a daylight robbery, as it were. You had people being charged $1,400. You had the story of Daniel Omana, whose sister with Down syndrome was going to be forced to stay once again in this hotel, even though, she needs to be with her family for stability. Yeah, no, it's pretty much a cash grab by the end of it. I'm very, very happy to see that Maltese authorities caved into the pressure and changed the policy. And I'm going to be following the story. I wonder if Charity is going to be getting her refund. If she gets her $1,400 back. It was very interesting, when she was speaking about how serious she is about this. She referred back to a female runner in the Boston Marathon back in 1967, American runner Catherine Switzer, who had defied the rules to become the first woman to run the Boston Marathon. And she, kind of looked towards her and said, listen, you can't just accept unjust laws and rules. You have to stand up and push against them if you really believe they're against them. So we'll definitely be following the story to see if Charity gets her money. Let us know in the comments below what you make of this. Moving on to the final story, XFactor Malta is back on Maltese screens. I don't know if you caught it yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Did you? I caught glimpses of it. Very exciting moment though for up-and-coming Maltese singers. And one singer made a major impression. Ryan Healy, who's a Maltese teacher, was born with no left hand. He has a bionic hand right now, and he's living with it. And he appeared on the XFactor stage and he floored the judges. Now, he explained that 2 years ago when the show was running, he didn't participate because he didn't have enough confidence due to his hand. He said, quote, my appearance affects me a lot. I was born without my left hand and it's not something you see every day. But I've always felt this was a limitation, but clearly it was not last night. He took to the stage and he floored the judges. People were really, really impressed with his vocals, and it just goes to show whether you have a physical appearance, whether you have an injury as it were, it's probably just in your mind that's holding you back. When you get to the stage, and if you really have the talent and you have that ability, people are going to look through, you know, any physical appearance. And hats off to Ryan Healy. We'll definitely be following his story and journey in XFactor Malta.
That's why what makes XFactor Malta special, XFactor special, is the way a very regular person can just rise straight to the top and achieve relative fame. But it's not only XFactor that launched over the weekend. There was also another show, the debut of Mustat Jr. I don't know if you saw it, but it's a new Friday night show that replaced Sarataron. And there's been quite a lot of debate about it. I've been seeing it online. I still haven't watched the first episode yet. I need to watch it. But if you've seen it, let us know in the comments below what you think of it, and XFactor Malta and Maltese TV.
Absolutely. I saw glimpses. I saw some clips online on their Facebook page of the show. So this is Rhea Tard, right? Rhea Alea, exactly.
The joke was they thought it was Rhea Tard.
That was the joke. Nice joke. Yeah, I saw a lot of reactions online. You know, some people were saying that it was an improvement from Sarataron. Some people saying it was actually...
Did some say it was an improvement?
I mean, there was a few people online. There were a few fans. It did have a few fans. But I did see a lot of people kind of say that it actually was a step back from Sarataron, saying it took Maltese TV back a few years. But I didn't see the full episode.
A few decades.
A few decades. Wow, heavy. I didn't see the full episode. So if you did see the full episode, let us know in the comments below. But this show is going to be running for a season, right?
Yep.
There you go.
So at least for one season.
So
it's Ron Burfa with Ray Carlea.
There you go. So maybe we have to give him a chance for the next episode.
I mean, there was some criticism about Sarataron, but yes, let's see. Let us know in the comments below what you think about these shows, as well as other shows that launch on TVM and the new TVM News Plus over the weekend. And that's it from us today. Make sure you follow lovinmalta.com for all the latest happenings, and have an evening full of loving.